better to have citizens in this or not? Like, part of me realizes that I lack some of the skills that politicians have in trying to work deals out. I just don't have the skill set. So, it's even hard to have a discussion. Maybe it's better for politicians to do it. Maybe it's better for all citizens to do it. I don't know. Something needs to be worked there, but there has been positive things coming out of this, and most importantly, having the citizens have the opportunity to be heard, and I think the Supreme Court can take that in consideration. So,
Mr. Harrell, then Senator Barker.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. During the break, I talked to, just very briefly, 3 other people in here on the commission. 2 of them were Democrats and 1 of them was Republican. And I said something similar to what I've heard from a few others here today. I came into this with high hopes. I really did. In fact, I was reminded as we got down to the real action here a number of meetings ago when a lady came up and read excerpts from our applications to us. And as I believe she was reading the first one, I could be wrong, and I listened to those aspirational words, I thought, that was me. I said that. I do regret that a number of people on the, quote, other side have said remarks over a period of time that indicate that the so-called Republican delegates, or commission members, didn't have as high hopes or as high standards as they did. I reject that. I think on both sides, we just come from different ways. And I do think that the process has made it extremely difficult. However, I want to reiterate something that Delegate Adams said, and in a fair amount, Delegate McQuinn said, and that is, I think the maps that we've come up with, even though we couldn't agree, on both sides are much better than the maps I had seen before. They're much more compact on general rule, and we tried to follow the standards. We just won't give in that last bit. And on that note, I have said several times that George Barker says a number of things that I can agree with and respect. And his latest comment that perhaps this is still, it's not that difficult to split the baby, so to speak, what we've got here, and come up with maybe a few more, several districts that are very close, and then we don't have to decide the 5-4 and 5-5 issue. Because if we take a stand, that's got to be what the ultimate solution is, we're not going to get past 8-8. But I do think we've got a chance if we focus on that.
I have a thought for everyone. I'll throw this out there. There are some people who want to keep working. There are some people who think that it's not going to be a good effort to come down here on Monday. Is there a way, or would everybody be kind of amenable to, we'll have public comment, that's fine, on Friday, but we do not schedule to come back on another meeting unless, and let the 14 days kick in unless a Democrat and a Republican both come forward and have a proposal to submit. And that would give us kind of a better basis. So if Senator Barker finds someone that likes something also on the other side, they can bring it to the co-chair's attention, and then we can call a meeting for us to all come and consider it. But I think the issue is that if we can say that there's some place for consensus and that we can still keep working, but is that what's going to happen at another meeting just like this? And I just don't know that it is. But if it happens between 2 people that are able to talk about it, and again, a Democrat and a Republican both sort of sponsor an idea in the next, I guess, more than 14 days. So 14 days from Monday, then we do call a meeting and everybody comes and we have something to vote on that might actually have a chance of success. Maybe it doesn't, but that would be the only reason really to come in. I don't think we make a lot of movement when we're sitting at these meetings talking in circles. So is there any, that means the people who want to keep working can keep working on it, and but it's on them to talk cross party lines. And then the people who don't find it useful to come down and watch everybody not agree on anything, that helps them too. So, Mr. Kumar.
Madam Co-Chair, I'd be supportive of that. I agree. I mean, given that something would have to come in on Monday by 1 or 2 o'clock, and maybe that happens this weekend, right? And just as a point of clarification to Mr. Harrell's comments, which I agree with, he spoke to people one-on-one, so it wasn't 2 or 3 people at once. I was one of them. It was just me and Mr. Harrell speaking at that time. But, in that same manner of being open but in compliance with FOIA, if there are people, one person on each side that are able and willing to carry the ball forward, I mean, perhaps it even happens by Monday. And if someone calls and says, hey, would you, one-on-one in compliance, and this is how things do get done at times, would you support this? Then that's possible that perhaps Monday, but more likely sometime past then within our 14 days. But I agree that I don't see much point in that, much chance in that happening on Monday itself, right, during the few hours we would have to meet.
Senator Parker.
All right, thank you, Madam Co-Chair. I'll just give you a couple of ideas of types of things that we might look at that might actually get us off the positions that both sides have right now to finding solution on things. For example, on what we had proposed, Delegate Simon and I, was basically a 5-4-2 map, with the 2 being 50-50 districts that basically could no preference, no lean either Democratic or Republican on those 2. But that doesn't mean we couldn't say, rather than those 2 being 50-50, to have them both 52-48 or 53-47, one Republican that way, one Democrat that way, so that it at least gets it off that, the 50-50 type of thing. And I think, there would be more likelihood then that we would end up with a 6-5 map than otherwise would be the case here. But those are the types of things I think we need to look at as it relates to both the 5-5-1 and the 5-4-2, and figure out sort of what are some options that we could look at there. And I'd be happy to work with anybody on the Republican side on that issue.
Okay,
So,
Ms. Harris.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. So your suggestion is that we have the public hearing on Friday on the 5 maps, I guess, all 3 C maps, and then the 2 new maps that were put forth today. And then the commission only reconvenes if we get a proposal that is sponsored by a Republican and a Democrat that you and I would agree to call the commission back together
That is-
within the 14-day extension period beginning on Monday.
Yes, that is my thought.
I'm in agreement with that good thought.
Mr. Brunio.
It just has to be said, because it seems to me, the concern that I would have about this, and I'm not saying no, but the concern that I would have is, isn't that kind of the whole point of the commission, is to draw maps in public rather than, two elected officials go and make an agreement and then see if they can sell us on it. I'm open to it, but that's a concern that I have. I mean, and I think the public would have a concern as well, but.
And in response to that, this is not the optimal way to do things, but it is a path forward. I mean, the other option is just not moving forward, but meeting on Monday, and what are we going to talk about that we couldn't have done today? If we could have done it today, then we would have done it today. So this would not be the primary or even secondary. This is option 8, maybe. But it's just a way so that we don't drag everybody back here when we don't have anything that has any basis of getting up. But if people are going to kind of hunker down and 2 people want to come up with something in a bipartisan way, then we would reserve the ability to call everybody back and vote on something if we have something to vote on.
And Madam Co-Chair, I think the other piece is that if there was something to vote on, the citizens would have the opportunity to see it